Yeah.
And what she doesn't understand when I say to people, when I say to her, I'm trying to explain things to other people. You can't force people spiritual. You can't force people. I said, oh, I'm not trying to force people. What I'm trying to do is show them that there is there to go through if you want to change. If you're aware of those doors, then they will never be there. They'll never be visible to your sight because you're unaware of them. If you're aware of them, you can choose either to or not to.
Yeah.
And she never gets that. She doesn't understand that.
Yeah.
I look at it in that way. We're directing people. You know, we're saying, look, if you want to wake up, if you want to know more, if you want to expand, here are the doors. They're here. But if you don't, fine.
Yeah. 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 Like it's I think it's important to plant seeds and like for our own, like we want to feel like we've done something as well, like we've contributed and that we've tried to do something, we've tried to play a part in the whole wake up process, because that's the only way that it's going to happen is if we share information, you know, like on the show and stuff.
Yeah.
And people don't have to listen. People don't have to like agree. But yeah, it's just providing opportunities for people so that they can use their free will to choose that or to not choose that. And
Exactly.
I think that's what it's all, I think that's what this whole thing is about, actually. I think it's like a cosmic game of what you're going to do with your free will.
Yeah.
And, you know, loads of people, I've tried to help so many people, you know, my daughter's dad mainly, because we were together for a long time. And even though we're not together anymore, like I care enough about him and my daughter's journey to sort of try and help him keep himself safe. But he's just kind of like more, he'll say things like, well, if I think I'm in any danger, then I'll act on it when it happens. And I'm like, it's already done, mate. It's already happened. But like, you know, that sort of reactive way, it isn't going to help. You have to be proactive, don't you? You have to get out in front of it.
I've always been that way. I've always sort of like look at the various possible scenario outcomes, plan for the worst and hope for the best. And I know that sounds cheesy or
Mm,
a bit corny, but
mm,
there are so many truths in these sort of cliched sayings, and you've got to. It's like I would be classed at some degree as a prepper because of my storage of food. I've got dried goods food and tinned goods food
yeah,
all over the house.
yeah,
And to a normal person, I would be classed as a prepper, but in the prepper community, I would just be classed as somebody who's just playing at being a prepper.
yeah,
But my sort of ethos on it is that I'd rather be the eccentric guy that has all this dried food and never need it
mm,
than be the fool that knew about it, didn't do anything, and when it came to it and I needed it, didn't have it.
yeah, yeah. I think I'm similar to you. I mean, I've got all the tins in the cupboard and stuff. I've even bought
Yeah,
things like, you know, water filters. Like if something happens to the water supply, like you can
yeah, I
treat the
have it as
water.
well. I've
You
got
can drink,
tablets to put in to purify.
yeah, you'll be able to drink the river water and all of that. But yeah, like, you know, I've gone past the point where I'm concerned about people thinking that I'm crazy. Doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't
so
matter to me
yeah,
anymore. It did do, but
I'm eccentric and proud.
yeah, yeah. All the weirdos are the most interesting, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, what that's Lewis Carroll from Alice in Wonderland, isn't it? Quote type of thing. I think what was it? It's something about the craziest
Hmm.
people make the most interesting people, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Something along those lines.
But
Ah,
anyway, it's 6 o'clock. Jackie's just joined as well for a listen, so I'll mute myself. I'll hand over to you, Jen,
Okay.
and have a great show.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'll start the recording now. Hi, Jackie. Oops. Oh yeah, the recording title. Hello, everybody. This is Jenny Luscombe, and this is episode 7, I think, of Feeling is Healing. And today, this is quite a big one. So we're going to be talking about today how to find and heal the emotional root of what you're going through. So this is anything that you're going through, because everything is energy. So any physical issue, pain, disease, autoimmune problems, there's no such thing as just physical issues. So even a physical issue that's being caused by an accident or an injury is actually caused by energy. It's caused by your frequency. So anything physical, anything mental, so beliefs, thoughts, feelings, anything emotional, physical, mental, emotional, all of the answers are actually inside of you. And yes, there are other variables. Obviously, there's diet, there's exercise, there's age, there's lifestyle, genetics. But everything that you're going through has an emotional root, which is the biggest unacknowledged variable. It's gigantic. It's like a massive elephant in the room that a lot of people are talking about, but not enough, in my opinion. So if you work out what's causing the imbalances within you, then you can actually change the world around you. So it does actually change your external. It changes more than we think it does. It's absolutely immense. So I've been on a bit of a journey with this, and it was a journey that I fell into, and I never planned it. So basically, the systems, the cabal, the governments, they don't want you to know about your natural healing abilities. Energy work is ancient medicine that we have been deliberately distracted away from. And it's time to take back the knowledge and to take back the power. This is not humanity's final hour, despite what it might seem like if you watch the telly box. So this is just the beginning. So to say that these processes that I'm going to teach you have been censored and hidden from us is actually an understatement. So just on my own journey, the continued and perpetual takedowns, censoring, ridicule, and suppression that I've personally been through in the building of a business using energy work over the last 8 years has been very painful and staggering. But I'm still standing very strongly with my feet on the ground, walking forwards, sharing what I've been through and what I know. So I do a number of therapies, and my main therapy is EFT tapping. So this is the therapy that I use to heal myself. So this is one of my main therapies. This one, EFT, emotional freedom techniques, it's actually been very actively suppressed by governments. I've been following that journey for a long time, and I've seen the evidence with my own eyes. So the UK government deliberately pushed CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy. They pushed that kind of as an alternative to EFT. It doesn't, I do know people that are good CBT therapists, but it's a totally different game. And I do think that most therapy is more about the therapist than the therapy. But what I do know about CBT, and I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong, it doesn't engage the subconscious mind like EFT does. So if you think about our consciousness, some people say 5 to 10% is the conscious mind, 90 to 95% is the subconscious. So if we're doing a therapy and we're exploring ourselves and we're not looking at 95% of what is going on for us, I think there's a limitation there. And a lot of my clients come to EFT after they've tried CBT, and they pretty much all say that it didn't really work for them. And if there was a result, it was kind of a temporary one. And also, it's very mainstream CBT. So any mainstream therapy, it's kind of rooted in the school of thought that people need to be challenged about their emotional experience, which is the direct opposite to what I do. And I don't challenge people's emotional experience. I validate it. And I know from, working with my own trauma that people need to be met in their pain, not told that they shouldn't have it. So it keeps people sick to have their emotion challenged. So I would argue that CBT is one of the mainstream therapies that is keeping people sick and pushes their issues further and further away from them. And also, I am not very science, but in order to argue with people in the right direction about what EFT has to offer, I followed the science, and EFT has outperformed CBT in peer-reviewed statistical studies from all around the world, globally, for decades. Since the 90s, there's more than 10, 20, 30, 50 times the statistical evidence that it gets permanent healing. If anybody's interested in sort of following that up, there's a clever guy called Dr. Feinstein, Dr. David Feinstein, and he's very active in the Association of Comprehensive Energy Psychology, so ACEP, ACEP. They have got boatloads of statistical evidence from everywhere, all over the place, globally, about what EFT does, what it treats. It's amazing. So I'm going to be using tapping tonight in this way that I'm going to show everybody how to find and heal the emotional root. So there's lots of distractions, and we all know that if we're listening to this show. So similarly, the whole pharmaceutical industry is designed to take us away from ourselves and our symptoms, to keep us sick and consuming drugs that don't work to feed their money machine. So, for example, I'm trying to get people to understand that your symptoms are the answer. Your symptoms are your body trying to start a conversation with you. So, for example, if somebody has pain, traditionally they'd go to the doctor wouldn't know what was causing that, and then they would get painkillers. So the painkillers are making money for the pharmaceutical industry, who want you to continue to be in pain. So the painkiller is designed to take your symptom away. Your symptom is what you need to move closer to. So a painkiller will dull the pain. So it's keeping you sick, it's making your pain bigger. It is the pain that we need to tune into. To heal the pain, we have to look at the pain, listen to the pain, be with the pain. So they're taking away our messages that we need to heal. And I want to live in a world where everyone is self-healing, which is why I'm sharing all my secrets. So your symptoms, whether they're emotional, mental, physical, circumstantial, they are your way out. 100%. They are for you, not against you, even though it feels like they're against you. We need to embrace them, not try not to have them. So I tried not to have my symptoms for 35 years, and that was insanity. So I was in chronic denial. I had symptoms coming out of my ears, but now I've self-healed PTSD, postnatal depression, anxiety disorder. And in the process of doing that, I was looking for ways to heal my own trauma because nobody could help me. And I wasn't going to go for the drugs because I knew that that was all a scam. So in the process of healing my trauma, I accidentally self-healed chronic pain that my doctor told me I would have forever. And I didn't believe that it was possible to heal the pain because I was programmed. But it happened as a side effect of working on myself emotionally. So because that happened to me, I lived through that experience, and I now know that it's all emotion, all of it, all the physical stuff, everything. It's all emotion. Just because it's in your body doesn't mean it isn't emotion. By the time something is manifesting physically in your body, it is a thought that you've thought so many times that it's almost become solidified and your body is shouting. It's shouting at you. So by the time you have physical symptoms, it's like a chronic situation. But you can reverse anything. So in the process of healing my trauma, which it's been about 12 years that I've been doing this really. I've had my business for 8 years, but personally I've been working on myself about 12 years. I also accidentally lost weight without changing anything that I did. I didn't diet or exercise. Um, and I also reversed my aging process. So I look younger now than I did 10 years ago. So, um, we are basically, all of us, stuck in a program of denying, suppressing, rejecting, disowning our symptoms, which is actually like pouring kerosene onto a fire. So we're making our symptoms bigger if we don't look. So the less we look at them, the bigger they get. So they are a conversation from your body. So you're the same. Like if you're trying to say something and then someone's ignoring you, you probably shout louder. So that's all your body is doing. It's giving you more symptoms because you're not looking at the original ones. So we all need dialogue with our body, and there is a conversation there to be had. So we need to learn to listen, to learn, to feel, to explore them, to embrace them, to allow them, to sense them, to love them. So most people that are in some sort of chronic situation with their body are kind of feeling like their body is against them. So they will be against their body. If you're doing that, you need to turn around and face the other way, because as soon as you do that, you will start to get better. So this process that I'm going to teach today is going to heal you permanently. This is not a coping mechanism. It can be used for coping, but if you take it every step of the way, if you go all the way to the end, it will permanently heal you. And then if you use this as a practice in your life, and whatever issues you're faced with, you use this process, you will get better and better and better. And it's not a one-time only thing. You have to commit to yourself. And it's not an easy journey. It's easier than the journey of what happens to you if you deny and suppress and reject it all. So this is your way out. So see your symptom or your emotion as information, and it's the information, the message that you've not been getting because you haven't been looking or listening. So if you ignore the messages, your body just keeps shouting. So this is why people's symptoms increase and become acute. Yeah, and this happens a lot with autoimmune disease, actually. You get one symptom and then you don't sort that out, and then you get another, and then you get another, and then you get another. And it's all the same thing. So you once you get going, you can actually collapse them all at once. So in approaching this, you can either kind of take notes on the steps that I'm going to give you, or you can kind of have a go at this as we go along. It's up to you. And I know that obviously, if you haven't tried this before, you might feel nervous about approaching yourself, and that's okay. So just notice that if you do feel nervous, like whatever you feel is okay. Um, so this does cause people to feel emotional, and it will likely intensify. It often makes people cry, and feeling is healing. So just take responsibility for your own well-being. Maybe for the first time, just have a listen and then think about what issue you'd like to approach, and then listen on the replay and set aside some time and then do it that way. I would recommend. So your subconscious never gives you more than you can handle. And if you follow the steps with me and keep tapping, you will feel better at the end about what you're going through than you do now. And this process is for you to keep coming back to again and again. And each time you come back to it, you're coming back to it from a different frequency until you no longer have charge. You will no longer feel an intensity around that subject or that issue. So if you don't want to tune into your symptoms now while you're listening, then listen on the replay and then do it in your own time. So if what you're going through is very intense and you don't feel like it's manageable on your own, then I would advise you to be guided through it with a practitioner. but anyone can do this. It's safe. And actually, it is 100% safer to explore your own issue like this than it is to ignore it, which is what most of humanity is doing. So, when I use this there are lots of tapping points actually. There's hundreds of them, and when I'm doing sessions, I only use the tapping points on the side of the hand and on the face and the upper body. But you have got them all over the place. But to keep this simple, I'm going to recommend just tapping on one of them. And if you want to learn more about the tapping points for tapping through all of them, then you can have a look online and see where they all are. But people often find a favorite one. So I'm going to recommend, for the purposes of this exercise, to look at your hand and then follow your little finger all the way down. So that squidgy part of your hand, it's really soft and fleshy, just on the side of your hand. That's called the karate chop point. So this is nature's reset button. So this is a really good way of reducing the intensity of an emotional experience that you're in. So you can just tap on that one all the way through this, or you can swap to the other hand and tap on the karate chop point on the other side. So make sure you're tapping on the right side of the hand, not the side where your thumb is, but the side where just underneath your little finger. And then just tap gently with two fingers on there. Another tapping point, so you can swap and change if you want, but another good one to use is your thymus point. So your thymus point is right in the center of your chest. So if you're a woman, like just above your cleavage on your kind of the chest bone, the chest plate there. Now that's the central meridian point for the whole system. And I call it the Piccadilly Circus of the meridians, because all the meridians join back to there. So often when I do a session with people, while they're explaining what the issue is, I'll always get them to tap there. And then that brings instant relief. Sometimes it makes people cry. It's like a really good way of hearing your truth, tuning into your truth. Some people call it the point of the shaman, and you see it used in lots of indigenous kind of shamanic ceremonies as well. So it's an important one. My favorite one is the thymus point, or the collarbone point, which is kind of just above the collarbone on both sides. If it feels a bit tender there, it's probably because you need to release energy there. I've got the ice cream van going on. Sorry about the ice cream van, but it's a bit relentless and it might keep going. So yeah, so tap gently on the thymus point or the karate chop point all the way through this exercise. Don't stop, try and keep going, especially if your emotion intensifies. So there's, I'd say 4 main steps to this journey, and you can take it as far as you want. I think one of the main things that I want to emphasize is sensation. So the sensation in your body and staying with the sensation is the key to all of this. So the sensation is actually step 2, but I just wanted to say that so that you realize and feel the importance of the sensation. So every emotion has a sensation in the body. Every belief system has a sensation. Every person that you can be with has a sensation in the body. Every situation that you're in, you might have a housing situation, you might have a situation at work. There's always a sensation when you are struggling with something, when something feels like you've got no control, you can't get out of it. There's always a sensation in the body. The sensation is how your body has coded the emotion. So by paying attention to the sensation, that is the key in the door to get to the emotional root of why your issue is intense for you. So working with the emotional root is the same as getting back to the relevant inner child that had something happen. So it might be a one-off thing, your emotional root, it might be a one-off event, But it's more than likely going to be a day in, day out, day in, day out kind of like way that you were parented, like a parenting style that you were subject to. And your parents didn't mean it. They were just programmed by their parents. So we're the ones who are paradigm breaking. So just start tapping either on the side of your hand on the karate chop point or on your thymus point, just really gently. So the first thing is to identify. The second thing is to tune into the sensation of that. After that, we're going to be moving to watching, listening, learning, understanding, paying attention to the sensation. So basically tuning in and watching the energy. And then once we've done that, once you're really tuned into the body, that's when we're going to find the root memory. And then from that root memory, we can then work with the inner child. So you don't have to do all the steps, but you can if you want to. The more of the steps you do, the more permanent healing you're going to get. And there isn't a right or a wrong way to do this. There's just your way. So this is my way. You don't have to do it like this. Just listen to sort of how this works, and then you'll get your own understanding of it over time. And then you'll probably find shortcuts and different ways in. And so just keep tapping all the way through. So the first thing that I want you to do is think about your issue that you want to explore. So it might be physical, it might be mental, it might be emotional. So just ask yourself, how do I know I've got this problem? So the best thing to do is speak out loud about this problem. So talk to yourself about this issue in your life. And talk to yourself about how it feels in your body. So say things like, I feel this, I feel that. This is making me believe that I'm whatever it is. So think about, what am I making this issue mean about me? So because I've got this issue, this is making me feel powerless, or this is making me feel not good enough, or this is making me feel shame, or this is making me angry. This is making me feel like I'm not powerful, or I don't matter. So think about it in those terms. What are you making it mean? The meaning is very important. So while you're tapping, just talk out loud and say things to yourself like, okay, so I've got this problem with this person and they just don't understand me. And I don't know what to do about it. And it's like they're in a parallel universe to me. And they're trying to make me do things that I don't want to do. They're trying to get me to do things I don't agree with. Whatever the situation is, voice it. Give yourself a voice and keep tapping and just notice how it feels to be speaking out loud, speaking your truth while you're tapping. So the tapping itself is reducing drastically the cortisol level in your body, the stress hormone. So when you're tapping, you cannot avoid your truth. Your truth is going to come, even if you're in denial. It will hit you between the eyes. And it's by design, and there's no bullshitting your body. So just keep tapping, keep voicing that. And you might feel really let down. You might feel guilty. You might have known this person for a long time and it doesn't feel right to walk away from them. It might feel like you're in a situation where there's no resolve. You might have a disease, you might have pain, you might have symptoms, and the doctors said, nope, there's nothing we can do for you. We don't know how to help you. So you might feel abandoned, rejected, acutely unsupported, helpless. Name the emotions that you're experiencing. Keep tapping the whole time you're speaking out loud about what you're going through. You might have a circumstantial issue. You might be in a job that you can't stand. You might be living in an environment that you can't stand. You might feel trapped. Whatever it is, give yourself a voice, say it all. You might already be feeling really emotional. So your emotion will intensify, and that's the idea of this. So this is going to take you out of survival mode and into a healing state. So you cannot be in survival mode and a healing state at the same time. So when you're tapping, your body is in a healing state. When you're approaching your survival mode, thoughts, feelings, and emotions and symptoms, you have to repattern your body. It's the law. So keep tapping all the way through. So how do you know you've got this problem? You're speaking out loud. You're talking about the issue in your life. So this is all step one. So do this for as long as you need to trigger your body into giving you the sensation of this issue. So often people feel anxiety in the chest, fear in the stomach, anger in the neck and shoulders. Where are you noticing the signature feeling of this life circumstance, this pain, this symptom, this person, this issue, whatever it is? So wherever you're feeling in your body a sensation that feels like tightness, tension, constriction, heaviness, it might just be a tingling. You'll know which one it is because your mind will go there first. So it might be in your feet, it might be in your head, it might be a full body experience, and that's okay, whatever it is. So I want you to imagine that your eyes are in there, in your body, and you're looking at that sensation up close. So imagine taking your consciousness from your head, from your mind, imagine taking it all the way down to your heart. And then imagine looking at this sensation in your body through your heart. So we are not against our bodies. If we are, we need to notice it. Our bodies are not against us. They're here to talk to us and communicate with us. So pay attention to this sensation. Look at it with every fiber of your being, because this is probably what you've not been doing. So now we're on step 2, tune into the sensation. So have a look at it. Identify where it is. Where in your body is that? And then talk to yourself about, how do I know it's there? So describe it to yourself. Is it an ache? Is it a pain? If it is, what kind of pain? Is it stabbing pain? Is it an achy pain? Is it a throbbing pain? Rate it from 0 to 10, 10 being the most intense, 0, not a problem. Where is that in intensity? And if it's a strong emotion that you're feeling, you might be raging. You might be furious with yourself or somebody else. Measure it. That's called the SUDS unit. It's a subjective unit of distress scale. Nobody else can measure that apart from you, from your subjective viewpoint. And you'll know that you're helping yourself when you tune into it at the end and you've gone down from a 10 to a 5 or from a 10 to a 3 or whatever it is. So it's a way of making this scientific so that you know that you've done something, you've changed something, you've moved something, you've healed something. So you're tuning into the sensation, you're imagining your eyes are in there. And you're asking yourself, how do I know this sensation is there? So describe it. Is it a heaviness? Is it a pain? Does it feel like a shape? Sometimes people see a 3D shape in there. It can be a regular 3D shape or irregular. It might just seem like a big black cloud, so it might be metaphorical. It might be like a ball of squiggly wire. It might be a tangle. There might be textures in there, so it might feel spiky. So ask yourself, if I touch that with my fingers, what would it feel like? Is it spongy? Is it slippery? Is it spiky? Is it smooth? Is it cold? Is it hot? So you might get visuals with it. You might get colors. It might be sounds. It might be like a sigh or a scream. You might get a taste with it. You might get smells. You might get touches, but you will get feels. How does it feel to be looking at that up close? So this is how your emotion, your symptom, how it's being coded in your body. So your role while you're perceiving all of this is don't try to change anything. Don't look at it as trying to get rid of. Do this with curiosity, as if you're watching it all on a cinema screen with your popcorn. So you're receiving, you're witnessing, you're watching. And that's all you have to do. So most of our pain and symptoms, whatever they are, have been caused by a lack of acknowledgement, a lack of somebody being with us while we were in our pain. So what you're doing now is reparenting yourself. You're being present with your symptoms at a very intense kind of cellular level, looking at the sensation in the body. You are literally being there with yourself. And that's why this works. So it's your role to be the observer and the witness of your own experience. And if you know anything about the observer effect, it has to change. The reason that we've got so many health epidemics is because we don't look. We're jumping over the issue, we're denying it, we're suppressing it, we're rejecting it, we're disowning it. When you are face to face with your issue, you've done a 180 degrees and you are with yourself while you are in your pain. That's why this works. And the observer effect has shown us over and over again, whatever you witness and observe has to change. It can't stay the same. If you ignore all this stuff, it will stay static. It won't change, or it will just get bigger and get worse. If you start to observe and witness it all, it will change. So you might literally see what you're seeing in front of you. You might see it change before your eyes, but we're not trying to change it. We're not trying to get rid of it. We're just witnesses and observers of our own experience. But it will change because it's a natural organic process. So it will start to move or change or lessen or disperse or lighten. It will somehow become less heavy. But because it's quite abstract, it's difficult to know sort of how that will be for you because everyone is very different in the way they perceive energy. But it will naturally happen as a result of you staying with it. So while you're embroiled in all of this, ask yourself, what's the emotion of this? What am I making it mean? So this must mean that I'm fill in the blank. So any I'm statement about your symptom is a program. and it's coming from somewhere. So all we ever needed was for someone to be with us in our pain, which didn't happen to most of us. We were on our own, and that's why there's stuff unresolved and unseen. So by doing this exercise, we are actually the antidote. We are choosing to be with ourselves in our pain, watching, listening, learning, understanding. So the more that you are with the sensation of your issue, the more you will receive information about your issue. Now, this is kind of weird to explain and hard to understand, but you will have epiphanies and realizations, and you will be joining dots that you didn't know you needed to join. So you will just receive information that you didn't have before about your issue. You might just suddenly understand something a bit more. You might already have started to have memory about what this is connected to. So when you're observing sensation in your body, it might seem metaphorical. Like sometimes people see kind of like a vortex spinning or like a volcano erupting. A lot of people see fire like bubbling mud and kind of volcanic molten rocks. And sometimes people have a big heavy rock like stone, like a big boulder. Sometimes people see almost like a river flowing. Sometimes there's movement. Sometimes it's just black. Sometimes it's kind of like sticky, messy. Sometimes there isn't anything visual, it's just feelings. It doesn't matter like which way you perceive it, whatever you're experiencing, even if there aren't words, sometimes words aren't really going to cut it. It might be kind of images and stuff that you don't understand, like it might be past life stuff. It might be ancestral, it might not be you. But just by being available for your body and doing this and witnessing and observing, you're doing quite a lot of multi-dimensional work. So you can play with this and kind of learn about how you receive your own information. I would recommend sort of having a little notebook next to you while you do any of this kind of thing. But even if you did this like 10, 20 minutes a day, you would be massively reducing your issue until you don't have your issue anymore. Time and space will move mountains and change circumstances once you've changed your frequency on this. So you can just keep going with staying with the sensation and the perceiving and the sensory receiving for as long as you want. And you can just keep that as your exploration. You don't have to go any deeper if you're nervous about what you're going to rake up. You are reducing your emotion, paying attention to sensation and stuff like this. And you are increasing your awareness, which is what healing is. So you are starting off the healing process massively by being with the sensation, and then just follow the feelings. So if you want permanent healing, and you want to identify the root memory, then you need to go a step further. So this takes a bit of practice, just like the other part does. So from this space of being tuned into the sensation of the thing that you're exploring, your issue, physical, mental, emotional, circumstantial, whatever it is, look at what you've got there. So you've got visual, auditory, kinesthetic, you've got colors, taste, smells, emotions. You're feeling the vibe of whatever it is that you're in the middle of. So all you've got to do is from this place, ask yourself, when did this first start for me? So imagine that there's one of you for every year of your life, age 0, age 1, age 2, age 3, all the way up to what age you are now. And just ask yourself, from this sensation, which one of these little me's felt this exact same feeling? And then pay attention to what your mind gives you right now. So what does that make you think about? When did I first experience this sensation? And then a memory will come, or sometimes a few memories at once. So sometimes there's a chain of energy. If there's a few memories that come, there will be a theme that connects them. What is that theme? So if you get a few memories when you ask yourself this question, focus on chronologically the earliest one, because that's more likely to be the root memory. Now, if it's a very painful memory or you're quite shocked by what that's just made you think about, you don't obviously have to go into that until you're ready. But just having the awareness and seeing that what you're currently experiencing, so the issue you started with, knowing and realizing that that is something to do with this memory that's just popped up, that is profoundly healing, just that awareness. So your subconscious mind, like what people don't realize is, like your subconscious mind can just heal you spontaneously, like our physical body, like we can cut our finger and then we don't have to do much with that, like just keep it clean or whatever. And, you know, your body just grows new skin over, and in a couple of days it's fine. Like that wound has healed. You don't think about it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to make a conscious effort to heal that finger. It's the same for our emotional life, our mental bodies, you know, all of it. Once we start this healing in this way, we are kickstarting the natural healing ability of our body. So you can just kind of peep in at that memory and go, oh my God, like the thing that I'm experiencing is connected to that. And your body will start to unwind that, and you'll start to just understand it if you want to. Obviously, you can just put a wall up and go, shit, I don't want to look at that. And that's fine. Like you don't have to be ready. You're just ready when you're ready. But your mind will be really happy that you've looked, and you will start to kind of think about that. Even if you think you're not thinking about that, you'll start to unwind that in a very natural or organic way. So you can stop here. You don't have to take it any further. And you might have resistance going into a memory that's popped up, and that's okay. Resistance is natural. So just the awareness that there's something unresolved here in this memory can be hugely, hugely healing. So awareness is healing. So I would advise you to keep going if you want to sort of feel permanent change around this issue. So if you want to keep going and you found this root memory, you might have seen a few memories, you've chosen the earliest memory, and you're looking at what's happening in that memory. Again, you're the observer, you're the witness. We're not going to try and change anything. Notice how you feel looking at this little you. Look at what's happening for him or for her. Imagine being their witness. So try not to be in their head looking through their eyes, re-experiencing that. Be the witness. Be the adult consciousness of you from today in 2024. Be separate from them, observing and witnessing their emotional experience. So make sure that you keep tapping all the way through this. So a good place to start is to name the emotion that this little you is experiencing. What are they feeling? And how do you know? So you might see, so this is kind of like a waking dream. Your mind is replaying a memory to you that it has saved up lovingly for you to look at when you are ready. So ask yourself, what is that little me experiencing right now as I'm looking at them? So you might see that little you doing something, being something, feeling something. So really helpful things to say out loud while you're tapping is, I can see her. I can see him. I know what they're feeling. I know who they are inside. I know what they're saying to themselves inside their head. I understand them. They're helping me and I'm helping them. And I'm noticing how they feel. And I'm choosing to be completely with them. So just ask yourself questions. What are they saying to themselves inside their head? Because this is often what sets up a limiting belief. So they might be saying to themselves something like, okay, so because I've just been rejected or humiliated, I'm never going to open my mouth ever again. So quite often people that are afraid to like speak up in meetings or public speaking or whatever, they made a decision because of something that happened. And it's a vow. You make a vow and then your subconscious holds you to that. And it's like, no, you can't put your hand up, you can't say the thing because you'll be embarrassed again or you'll be ridiculed. People will think you're an idiot or whatever. So ask yourself, this little me, what's he or she saying to themselves because that happened? So trauma, all of our issues, it's never about what happened that causes the thing, that causes the perpetual things that happen to us on a loop. It's our interpretation of it. So kids will blame themselves for everything. It doesn't matter what it is. I can guarantee that whatever that memory is that you're looking at, I can guarantee it wasn't your fault. So all you've got to do is stay with your inner child for as long as you can. The longer you can stay, the more layers of emotion you'll observe. The energy has to change. It has to change. Now, sometimes with some of my trauma, I've had to sit with it for a long time. I've had to sit in the energy of whatever that is for a long time, just being with my inner child. And it sometimes has seemed endless. So if you feel like you're not getting any change, sometimes that's just the way of it, but you will. So if you can stay long enough for them to actually lighten and feel better, then you've cracked it. So the key is to notice the emotion, notice what they're saying to themselves, keep tapping, and then just keep looking at how they feel. Keep saying it to yourself. He feels ashamed. She feels rejected. He thinks he's not good enough. She feels unlovable because that happened. Because that happened, he feels like he doesn't matter. Whatever that is, stay with the intensity and the pain of that. Now, a very, very, very strong misconception that people have is that when you look at your negative emotion, you're going to get more of it. Now, that's probably um, that's probably been implanted into our consciousness so that we don't heal. I think that was by design told to us so that we didn't. And we have loads of limiting beliefs about emotion, like, it's weak to feel or boys don't cry. But if you are in the energy of caretaking your emotion, you are not going to get more of it. You're going to get the opposite. So it's the feeling of the emotion that we need to do because we suppressed it. Because we suppressed it because we couldn't handle it. So when we suppressed it, it didn't go anywhere. We just made it invisible to us. So all you're doing here is you're feeling the emotion that you made invisible to you. You didn't process it. The unprocessed thing here is the emotion. Now you're an adult, you can handle it and you can be there with your inner child. You can feel it together. So the more that you do this, the more the emotion will change. So for example, if anger is the emotion that you're there in, that can be really a really difficult emotion to process. If you just allow it to be there, say things to yourself like, they should be angry. Any kid would be angry. It makes sense they would be angry. They've done nothing wrong. It makes sense that they suppressed this. It makes sense that they couldn't handle this. And I'm here for them. And they're here for me. And I've got their back. If you're coming at this kind of from a set point of compassion and caring for the negative emotion, caring for your inner child and for yourself enough to feel it, you are going to change your life. So a lot of people who understand the law of attraction think that focusing on negative emotion is going to bring them more of that. No, it doesn't work that way, not with emotion. So the more you stay with them, the better. So if you get to a point where you're getting some kind of relief, and it might take a while, you'll actually see the inner child doing something, or something changes, like they might be, instead of sitting with their head on their knees, they might be standing up, or they might suddenly start dancing or singing, or something will change. It's a waking dream. Your subconscious mind works with you metaphorically as if you were dreaming. So if you get some kind of relief, the next part that you can do is imagine stepping into the experience. So before this, your inner child couldn't see you. You were the witness. You were kind of invisible. Now imagine stepping in and joining your inner child for an interaction. Now, they don't have to interact with you. So a good thing to do would be to imagine telling them, I'm you from the future, and I've come back to help you with your feelings. And just try and get a sense of whether they feel comfortable interacting with you. Because if you've got a background of having trust issues and stuff, your inner child might be looking at you going, back off. Now, there's no point like getting them to do something that they don't want to do, because that's not going to work. So let them hide behind the curtain. Let them be separate from you. If they are willing to interact with you, then you can do the next part. If they're not willing to interact with you, let them stay separate. Let them be in control. And then you can just say things to them like, I just wanted to say that I support you and I'm with you and you're not on your own, and I'm going to come back and keep helping you. And just say to them, I'm sorry about what happened. I understand you. And then just leave it at that, because they didn't want to interact. Next time you go in, they probably will. So if they do want to interact, all you got to do is ask one question. What did they most need when this thing happened? So they probably had a full list of needs not met. But what's the thing that pops into your head? What is it that they most needed that they just could not get, that they were not getting? So often people will say love. Sometimes it's recognition or understanding or support, whatever the flavor is. And then a good thing to do is find as many ways as you can in this kind of imaginary journey, this little meeting that you're having. Find lots of ways that you can to give that to them. So give them the antidote to not having this need met chronically. So this is where you can get really creative. Now, this is not just your imagination. It actually is just your imagination, but a lot of people dismissed our imagination as if it was nothing. And your imagination is everything, everything. So when you alter a memory in this way, your body doesn't know that it isn't really happening. So when you give, for example, your inner child a microphone and you put them on the stage and you get them to speak up and to say what they wanted to say, even though they were told they weren't allowed to speak, you know, give them the opposite thing. Give them the thing that they say that they really need in ways that's meaningful to them. So, for example, if your trauma was they had to they your little inner child had to stay in and wasn't allowed to go out, then you could like literally create this magical world where they get to do all the things that they want. They can like go for rides on unicorns. They can, go and see the dragons in their cave. They can fly all around the world in a rocket. Like, do those things with them. Imagine that you are on this special magical journey. There's no limits. Give them the thing that they needed that they couldn't get in as many ways that you can think of that they would have loved to have done. So make it meaningful to you. Bring in the angels. Get them to meet their like favorite football star or like whatever it is. Let them do all the things they weren't allowed to do. If the trauma was that they weren't allowed to be angry, send them to a Greek wedding and let them smash up all the plates. So allow expression, allow healing, allow the opposite thing to happen. So this is the closest that we've currently got to time travel, but it works. So Einstein said imagination is everything, and it actually is. And he also said you can't get rid of energy. So emotion is energy, anger is energy, rejection is energy. They're all different forms of energy. It's like electricity. You can't get rid of it, but you can transform it. So what we're doing here is we're not changing what happened. We can't do that. We can't change what happened, but we can change the way that we feel about it. It's not what happened that traumatized us. It's what we made it mean. So what we've done here in a nutshell, so we're just about to finish. We've traced the energy from our current circumstances, so our physical symptoms, our mental beliefs, thoughts, feelings, emotions, whatever it is, the person that's pissed us off, the job that we hate, the marriage that's breaking down, whatever the problem is, that energy, we've allowed it to be there. We've spoken out loud about it. We've been tapping the whole time. We've brought down the cortisol level. We've allowed ourselves to be physically in our body in a healing state because of the tapping while we are addressing the trauma. We've looked at the sensation in the body that the issue is causing. We've done it in a very intensive way, witnessing and observing, looking at the colors, the sensory everythingness of that. And then we've allowed ourselves to have a memory triggered by the archive of our body, because that's how the archive of our body works. This is the Akashic Records, your body. So the sensation was everything. I want you to keep hold of that, because if you can be with the sensation of whatever you're going through and explore it, look at it from every possible angle, allow it to be there. Don't try and shut it down. Be curious. Trigger the memory. Be with the inner child. This will bring you permanent healing from anything, anything in capital letters, anything. And you're not going to hear this from your doctor. So play with it. You don't have to do it the way that I've done it, but you probably get the idea. But yeah, I would recommend just keep listening to the replay, make notes how it makes sense to you, because you might not perceive energy anything like how I do, but I think the key is sensation. Tap on your thymus point or on your karate chop point and just explore and know that whatever you experience in your body, whatever you manage to alter in a root memory, and you can't alter a root memory until you've observed and witnessed the negative stuff. You have to look at the negative, dark stuff first, allow it to lighten somehow, and then go in for the changing it with the inner child. Sometimes your inner child might just come towards you when you're dealing with the emotion. It might happen spontaneously. It depends how split you are. It depends how fragmented you are. If your inner child doesn't want anything to do with you, that's normal as well. So don't think, oh my God, like I'm really fucked up if my inner child doesn't want to speak to me. That's not true. So some issues that you work with, your inner child might be like that. Some issues, they might not be like that. They're all developmentally at different ages. You suppressed lots of different versions of you all over the place. So I'm going to stop talking now. But I hope that everybody's okay if you were tapping along with that. It is a very, very emotional experience, and it needs to be, because we have to get all this emotional stuff out that we have suppressed. And like, just because we made it invisible to us when we suppressed it, it doesn't mean that it went anywhere. It just meant that we pushed it down in the cells of our body quite a long way. And all we've got to do to get it out is tune into our bodies and find it and feel it. And that's literally it. And we are in control. We thought we weren't, but we are. So there you go. I hope you find that useful. I'll just open it up for anybody who wants to have a chat or ask questions or anything. Thank you for coming, everybody who's here.
I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I will go back to it. I listened and then come out and come back
in. Yeah.
So I think it'll maybe take another listen to just sort of follow through.
Mm.
And then I will try the practice. When you first started, I was thinking, I think it would be nice to go and spend a bit of time with myself, set some time aside and work a little bit. So I'm really grateful that you're sharing everything openly and wonderfully. So just big appreciation and thanks.
Well, thanks, Carly. And yeah, it's not a relaxing journey. You know, sometimes people think, oh, this will be like soothing, kind of like meditative experience. And like sometimes it is. What a lot of people don't realize is we can do this to kind of like get the positive stuff out that we suppressed as well. So we can go into situations where you know, our joy was suppressed, and then allow the joy to come out as well. But, Anybody else? I think I might have, like, if you guys have been tapping, you might have fallen asleep, because that sometimes happens, which isn't always a bad thing.
I haven't fallen asleep, but I have been slightly distracted. I have been keeping one ear on ear and one ear on something else. I've been flicking between the two.
Yeah,
thank you for a great show, Jen.
Oh, thanks, Andy. Anybody else want to ask anything? And it's okay if you don't. Like, I'm just appreciative of people being here live. And if anybody ever wants to message me questions, I'm quite open to that.
Say thank you and enjoy that. Tap along with you, so I'll be listening to the replay. I think that's perfect for me. I want to explore the inner child a little bit further.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well done, Jackie. Good luck with it, because it's an amazing journey. I mean, it's I'm so glad that I did it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that sometimes people don't start the inner work because it feels a bit like Pandora's box or whatever. And people worry that they'll regret it, but I think it's better to look than not to look.
I agree. Although sometimes we may not be ready to look. I
Yeah.
have to go because I'm actually cooking. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anybody else?
Where's my tape?
I think Wandering Spirit might want to say something. She's got a mic unmuted.
I think yeah, I think I'll wrap it up then, Andy. But I enjoyed sharing it, and I know that it's going to help a lot of people, and it's kind of like a catalyst, and like people don't realize how powerful we are generally, and it's amazing what you can find out about yourself when you do this, and when you realize how much power and control that you have over your own situation, especially if you felt very disempowered, it changes everything, and it's perfect. So thanks everybody for coming. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing next week, but if anybody has any suggestions, I'm open to that. But anyway, have a lovely evening, everybody. Lots of love.
Enjoy. Thanks. Love to all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.